very difficult following two such distinguished speakers. But, you know, we should all cheer up because we have an environmental crisis. We now have a financial crisis. And as you know, in the Chinese term, crisis has two meanings. 危机 means opportunity and danger. So actually, I'm very optimistic because when it gets bad enough, it's going to become really good. And seeing you all here tonight, it's fantastic because I think there is something stirring about Vancouver. I think when it gets bad enough, people get mad enough and they say, well, we're going to come out and just make some changes. So Cornelia, there's hope because we've been fighting this rearguard kind of battle, trying to salvage Robson Square. I get phone calls from her almost every 2 weeks. They're screwing it up again. And it's just been, 20, 30 years of just going downhill. So maybe there's a chance to make it better. So let's get up the first slide. I know where the Civic Square is. The Civic Square is Robson Square, but the trouble is we never got to finish the front end where the courthouse is. We encountered this problem where when we got to do the front end, the NDP government got defeated and the Socreds came in and they weren't gonna, I think it was Socreds, maybe it was Liberals, I don't know, but anyways, they wanted to kill them. Yeah, it was the Socreds. They wanted, in fact, we only built Robson Square, we had a big hole over the courthouse, and I remember Gordon Shrum coming to the office. And says, Bing, I've been told by the Premier to fill in the hole, we're not going to build a courthouse, so you give me one reason why we should keep it going. Anyways, I talked him into keeping it going, but under no circumstance was he going to allow us to finish the front of the courthouse. So I'm going to talk about the front of the courthouse that Lance talked about. Next slide. I mean, it is the natural center of the city. The previous slide with all the colors show that it's the high point of the peninsula. It's the highest point of the peninsula. So we are blessed in that we have this fantastic space in the front, which is awful, but can be better. And actually, if you ever walk up the lane behind the Hong Kong-Shanghai Bank, then the vista to the courthouse is fantastic, right? So you should all do that after tonight. Go down that lane and walk up that lane. And by the way, it's the only free lane you can park in the city of Vancouver and not get a ticket. Anyway, so my thought was that we really need to fix this. It's just crying to be fixed. And now with the new Vancouver Art Gallery maybe moving down to False Creek, you'll have a new tenant in here. You see, we couldn't convince the art gallery director at the time when this became the art gallery to allow us to make the front door here. Because he said, I can only have one door. And if we had the front door here, then there would be no connection with the rest of Robson Square. So when the courthouse goes, when the art gallery goes, and a new use is put into here and a new use is put into the annex and the courthouse can become two different uses. So the entry to all the uses underneath Robson Square can come through the annex. And then you can create a new front door here and then the whole thing will breathe again. So then, right now there's talk of putting this new skating rink and reviving what's there. But the next slide will show you, please. There are many, many new skating rinks being built in Europe now that can be skated on in the rain. There's new technology. A lot of these slides are coming from Chris Phillips. I think Chris is in the audience. Chris and I are doing a skating rink for Whistler that we're not going to put a cover on. And so why are we spending, a few $1 million screwing up Robson Square, the whole thing about the clamshell and all that shit that's coming. At least we kill that. But now, now they're going to spend a few more million trying to fix up a skating rink and then putting a new lid on it, which you don't need. Just take the stuff off and put the new skating rink in front of the courthouse and save that money and do it properly. So, next. But, they never have these public consultation process that we're trying to do here, so that's good. But anyways, these are just examples. So that's a short-term solution for Vancouver. The longer-term solution for Vancouver is the fact that if you thought what happened in Hong Kong in 1997 is going to change Vancouver, just think about what happens when 1.2 billion people in China all want to come to Vancouver. That is what's going to happen, because we live in the best country in the world. We have resources and we have brains. And if you watch the opening ceremony for the Olympics, when Canada came on, next to China, we got the biggest applause. Because they understand this is where they all want to be. So you just have to get ready, right? So how are we going to get ready for this? Because I firmly believe that. Because when Arthur Erickson 10 years ago said Metro Vancouver was going to be 10 million people, everybody thought he was crazy. But you really think about it, let me give you one example. When the Industrial Revolution occurred, the average person, let's say, quality of life improved by about 50%, or let's say 100%. In China, you know, when the Industrial Revolution occurred, the average Chinese quality of life improved by 1,000%. This is statistics from the World Bank, because you think of a Chinese peasant working for $10, let's say, a year, and now earning, you know, what's that mathematics? Is it 1,000 or 10,000 a year? But that's, you know, that's very, very reasonable. So what happens is that they want to be all like us. You know, they want to be just like us. So that whole wealth of the middle class coming up, that's what's driving the Chinese. And then once they get there, they're going to travel and they're going to want to visit. So what are we going to do in Vancouver? So I'm saying the next square for Vancouver, other than the the Courthouse Square, is going to be the whole east side, right? Because downtown Vancouver is actually going to be all of this. It's already happening with the Olympic Village. Imagine if this was a beach, because you know the deck that we built for Expo is all now rotting and about to fall down. So we're going to spend another so many tens of millions fixing the deck. I've been asked by to volunteer with the Science World to figure out what's going to happen in Science World because their deck is all falling apart. So we came up with this idea. This is a kind of a 5-minute sketch, okay? That's just before coming to this meeting. Why not make a beach here? Because if you make a beach here, this will be another beach to that beach. And the east side has no beach, right? And secondly, with all this housing that's going to be built all around here, and then this is really just a lake. And then, right now, the art gallery is supposed to be there. But imagine if we just move the art gallery over, put it on an island on axis with Stanley Park, and we reinstate Georgia Street as the Champs-Élysées of Vancouver, and then actually make it an island, or make it a floating element, or put it on another deck, and then bring the water right in. You can do a kayak run right there. I mean, that's a proposal Chris and I put up for the convention center. If we had the convention center, we would have a huge square right there. That was the scheme that we presented, right? But instead, you know, 5 years later and 3 times the cost, you know, we have an empty parking lot, right? So I want to just end with that, and I think, you know, not only why is Vancouver, what do you call this now? Why is there no square in that? What is your term? Where's the square? I'm saying, why is Vancouver so square? Thank you.